Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I've never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What kind of slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. This is Bettor Off Dead, Monday, September 29th. This is going to be a pretty short episode, I think. I'm going to rant about what happened yesterday, which was a winning day, but it should have been a lot better than it was. And we'll talk about Monday Night Football, and that's about it. Thanks for anybody who was hanging out with in the Major League Baseball playoff bracket special last night, which my picks are going to be wrong on that. It's just very difficult to predict that shit, so go check it out if you want to. It's up on the channel. Yesterday we won. We went 4-3, so the win streak does continue. Almost back to even on the year, finally, which is not that bad. But it started out, it was looking like it was going to be an absolute monster day. I feel like that happened the last 2 days. Like, Giants got there with the win. That was the most fun one because I like Jackson Dart. Giants with an outright win. I don't know if there's ever a point in the game where they were not covering. Very low-scoring game. They get the win. Jackson Dart's debut game. I like it. It's fun. We had an even easier time winning with the Patriots. Just an absolute blowout win there. No sweat at all. They had a defensive touchdown almost right away, and then it was just floodgates open. I played their defensive fantasy, too, and I am winning going into tonight. So in my main league, I'm on the verge of 3-1 here if my team can finish it off here. Atlanta Falcons also got out to an early lead, and they did not surrender it, so that was a win as well. They only wound up winning by 7, but they were up by multiple scores throughout a lot of that game. Then everything started going fucking haywire. We knew we were going to lose on the Tampa Bay Rays one. I mean, that was just bad. I mean, they were down 5-1 early. They clawed back and made it 5-4, and then their bullpen actually was a huge problem in the game, so that was not really what I expected. They wound up getting blown out in the game. That was a loser. I don't think any of the other games that I had yesterday should have been losers. Of course, we had to be on the Indianapolis game. That was my last addition to my slate. I was thinking about not including it. That would have been the last one I added. It should have been a winner. In Indianapolis, they basically had a wire-to-wire cover in that game, man. They were winning and or tied, I think, the entire way up until they were winning 20-13 in the fourth quarter. So it's like in the middle of the fourth, you have a plus 3.5 on that. I mean, that's like you're pretty much going to win that thing. The Rams did wind up tying it very late in the game. I think with like probably less than a minute. No, not less than less than a few minutes left in the game. Now all of a sudden it's 2020. 2020, like the crime show, the true crime show. Then Indianapolis starts driving again. And you're thinking, okay, get a game-winning score here, and we're going to win this game outright still. They have this huge run by Jonathan Taylor, incredible run. Just had this crazy spin move, bouncing off of tackles. Unbelievable, like a 50-something yard run, touchdown. Indianapolis looks like they're probably going to win this game now. At least you're in very great position to cover the spread at that point. No, it gets called back on a holding call, like a complete ghost holding. So that's a situation where I do think that there's some bullshit rigging going on there, even though I don't know. The books, I think, wanted Indianapolis in that game, though, because the Rams were the public side. So I don't know, man. But that was a bullshit call, and it erased an incredible touchdown that basically would have sealed the Indianapolis cover and probably an outright win there. Instead, they don't get the 50-yard touchdown run, and they get docked 10 yards, so now they're back on their side of midfield. They wind up having to punt the ball, and then immediately after the punt, 88-yard touchdown pass from the Rams when they hadn't really done anything on offense the entire game to that extent. And it was to Tutu Atwell, who had like 3 receptions on the entire season. And I mean, I know he's better than that, but still absolutely ridiculous. The defense just was nowhere near him. Insane. Absolutely insane. And then Indianapolis did still have one more chance because Rams scored too fast. So there was still over a minute left. And Indy did start driving, but then Daniel Jones threw an interception, and that was the end of it. That pisses me off big time. Nate, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. Then Texas Rangers was about as bad as the Indianapolis one, man. If you saw what happened with the Texas Rangers game, Cleveland, I mean, they were already going to be in the playoffs. They didn't need to win. The Red Sox beat Detroit, although I don't know. Like, towards the end of the Cleveland game, Cleveland obviously knew that Detroit had lost, right? So that Cleveland, therefore, had won the division because they had the tiebreaker, so it didn't even matter. Because I'm pretty sure the Red Sox and Tigers game ended first because the Texas and Cleveland game went to extra innings. Texas was winning like almost the entire game, at least winning by 1 or 2 runs throughout the whole thing. They were still up 5-3 in the 8th inning. They blew the lead. I think it was still 5-4 maybe in the 9th. I don't remember, but they blew that. Goes into extra innings, and then Texas puts 3 on the board in the 10th inning, so now they're up 8-5. So it's like, all right, this is over. You have an 8-5 win now. Again, you have a big lead with little, with 1 inning to go, basically. Texas has a pretty solid bullpen. Cleveland can't hit. Oh, but Cleveland winds up putting up a 4 spot in the bottom of the 10th inning and winning anyway, 9-8. Absolutely unbelievable. Obviously, Texas was the right play as the underdog there, having the lead throughout most of the game. Just absolutely ridiculous. Didn't expect it to be a high-scoring game like that, but insane. I mean, it was lower scoring than the final made it look, obviously, because there were 7 runs scored in the 10th inning. And then the WNBA game, I mean, holy shit, dude. Minnesota is now eliminated, but Minnesota was winning outright most of that game. Like, they were out of the gates hot, man. Minnesota was winning by double digits in the first quarter. It got a little bit closer. Then Minnesota, I think, maybe even fell behind, and then they pushed their lead back to the point where they had a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter. They're up like 13 points in the fourth quarter as a 5.5-point underdog, which, by the way, it wound up being a 4.5-point number when the game went off. So if you got the worst number on that, you actually wound up losing, whereas my 5.5 actually wound up winning. Neither should have been a loser, man. You're up 13 in the fourth quarter. Outright lead pretty much the whole game. Minnesota got outscored. I don't know exactly what the fourth quarter wound up being, but I saw towards the end of the game, they were outscored 22-5 in the fourth quarter. And then I think both teams might have scored like a little bit more after that. And Minnesota wound up barely getting in that number and losing by 5. I think after they intentionally fouled again at the end of the game, because it was kind of going back and forth between 3 and 5 towards the end there. Absolutely abysmal fourth quarter from Minnesota. I mean, even though, yeah, they were without their star player, Collier, but even so, like, how do they play a fourth quarter that's that bad, man? And now they're eliminated. But as you know, in my bracket, I actually picked Vegas to be the champion. And Vegas, they're on the verge of elimination, but it's in a home game in a Game 5 in their series, which is going to come up tomorrow. So, whatever, man. Let's talk about today. So that was all the games yesterday. Could have been a losing day if Minnesota didn't wind up covering that in the end, and that would have been bullshit too. So we almost took 3 bullshit losses yesterday. It should have been a 6-1 day, man. We got the NFL today, obviously. That's the only thing we have today. Monday night. I already talked about both games on my NFL show as well, so you can go back and watch that. But my analysis is going to essentially be the same. We at least have, we can see what the market has done since then. And I think the market is not really going to tell us too much additional information at this point here. Trying to gather my thoughts here. I don't have any bets on these games. First game up, it starts an hour before the other game in this double header, even though the games are going to be played at the same time. And absolutely nobody's going to watch Jets-Dolphins, man. Once Bengals-Broncos comes on, that's obviously the game that people are going to be watching. Although Joe Burrow is obviously hurt as well, so not a good Monday night lineup at all for people, man. Jets-Dolphins, battle of 0-3 AFC East teams, although I have a tendency to kind of want to say that maybe neither team is really as bad as that. I think the Dolphins are indeed pretty bad. I think McDaniel's going to get fired. He's not very good. The Jets, at least they have the excuse. They have a new coach there, Aaron Glenn, so they're trying to figure things out. But their defense has really struggled so far. The Dolphins are a 2.5-point favorite here. It's gone up a little bit with some juice on the 2.5. 60% of tickets, 61% of the cash on the Dolphins. The under also getting money with the total just sitting at 4.5, 73% of tickets on the over, only 66% of the cash on the over. So I would say that means that the actual money is coming in on the under here. And I mean, it kind of makes sense when you have two bad teams, but I kind of worry about an under in that game because the Jets defense is supposed to be good, but it hasn't played well. And the Dolphins defense is bad. So it is possible that those teams can get over that total. I mean, when you have two bad teams, a lot of times you think, oh, the teams can't score. And yeah, the Dolphins' offense has been putrid, but the Jets' offense actually hasn't really been that bad. I leaned to Miami in this game, though, and if you could find the 2.5 out there, you could still lay that. Maybe you have to lay a money line on it, find, some other creative way of doing it. But I think Miami is the right side, in my opinion, here. They have extra time off because they haven't played since Thursday. And yeah, I know they covered against Buffalo, but I think the extra time off in this situation will help them because they haven't won a game yet. So having extra time off, you're going to use that extra time to prepare some stuff. You're back at home, although I know this is a divisional game, so it's not going to be a big deal for the Jets to travel down there either. But even though it is going to be warm, probably warmer than the Jets like, I think it's going to be in the 80s down there. And if it was a day game, I would say Miami should wear their white uniforms, force the Jets to soak up the sun in their dark colors. But it's going to be a night game, so that's, it doesn't really matter as much. But yeah, Miami, I think they could use that extra time off to try to fix some things. I know they covered in their last game against Buffalo, but it was still a double-digit loss. So I think they could use that time to fix some things, whereas the Jets are actually coming off a much more difficult loss. That was a game that I gave out on the show with the Jets plus 6.5. The Jets made a big comeback in that game, took the lead late in that game, and then lost it right at the end. Brutal fashion, man. They could have pulled off the upset there. So I think the Jets coming off that game could be in a little bit of a worse spot here, although the travel spot is kind of not as bad for them if they stayed in Florida because it's 2 straight games in Florida. So I kind of assume they did actually stay in Florida. So that would be a little bit of an advantage to the Jets if they did do that. But I still would lean to Miami in this game just because the Jets have less time off. That was a brutal way of losing to Tampa Bay there. And the other thing about the Jets is I'm pretty sure, you could watch the news today, but I'm pretty sure Justin Fields is coming back here. So one of the reasons I played the Jets against Tampa Bay was that it was the injured player theory spot. When your starting quarterback goes down, the team tends to step up their game for that one game without him. They know they have to put in extra effort. You get a little bit extra value on that team because the line moves a little bit. In that case, I don't think it moved that much. I think it moved about a point, but the odds makers still downgraded the Jets going from Justin Fields to Tyrod Taylor, but I'm not sure that Taylor is even really worse than Justin Fields. Taylor's good. He's not that bad. He's got experience. He's been pretty solid when he's played. Sometimes he kind of goes in there and defenses don't know how to scheme against him really because they don't see him that often. But now we're in kind of the reverse injured player spot now where the starting quarterback is coming back, and the Jets might be of the mindset this happens in the reverse injured player spot when the guy comes back. It's oh, we played pretty well without him. We can kind of breathe a sigh of relief here and not have to play as hard with this guy back. Although I know the Jets are 0-3, so it's not like they're not going to be playing hard. But, I wouldn't imagine. I think 2 0-3 teams are kind of desperate, So I think they're both going to show up here. But, yeah, I think there could be also kind of a chemistry issue with the quarterback coming back for the Jets here. So I think Miami is the way to look in that game if you're going to play that game. It won't be a play for me, though. And then the Bengals and the Broncos is the other game. Pretty low-looking total for a Bengals game, although the Broncos are more of a defensive team than an offensive team. The Bengals look like their offense is going to really be struggling without Joe Burrow in there. Money is coming in on the over in this one, though, even though it dropped a little bit to 44.5 juice to the under. 58% of tickets, 65% of the cash on the over now. So money a little bit on the over. I don't know if I really see that, though, to be honest. I think Broncos, if they play that slow down style, I mean, the Bengals, this offense without Joe Burrow could struggle to score again. Probably not as bad as last week, though. But they faced a good defense last week, too. The Vikings, they throw a lot of pressure at the quarterbacks and stuff, but the Broncos are also a pretty menacing defense. 85% of tickets, 87% of the cash on the Broncos. They're up from 6 to 7.5, so the line did move through that key number 7, although the 6 might have been the look ahead the week before that. Public is going to be all over the Broncos, and this is going to be the game that's the more bet of the two games, I would say. So I think you do want to look to fade the public here because Monday night, usually it's one Monday night game, and everybody coming off a Sunday, if people lost on Sunday, which I think a lot of the anti-public plays did win yesterday. So you're going to see bettors who lost yesterday coming in trying to get some of their money back on Monday night. So I do think a lot of them are going to be betting the Broncos. There are probably a lot of people who have teased the Broncos down from 7.5 to 1.5, although I actually think that that's probably a good idea. I would not disagree with doing that. I think if you did want to tease, you could actually tease both of these games here because they're both in the Stanford Wong teaser, which is the only way that there's really actually value to be had on the NFL, which is a 2-team 6-point teaser, and you have to take both teams through the key numbers of both 3 and 7. So you need to get the number either from below 3 up to above 7, or as an underdog as a favorite from above 7 all the way down to below 3. So you can only do it with underdogs of 1.5 up through 2.5 and favorites of 8.5 down through 7.5. But you have both of those here. You could tease the Jets up to plus 8.5 with the Broncos down to minus 1.5. That would not be a horrible teaser. But Books know that there's value in that specific teaser, so they charge you more for the teasers now because the professionals have been doing it for a while, so they probably charge you about minus 130 now for it, and I probably wouldn't want to do that. You used to be able to get it at minus 120. If you can find it for like minus 125, it might be worth a look. I probably would have teased the Broncos with some other team that played yesterday, though, because I don't know. I just don't love the Jets tonight, so I don't know what's going to happen in that game, really. This game, I actually do lean to the Bengals plus the points, though, even though I don't really see the Broncos losing the game outright either. Broncos were a potential survivor pick as well, but I used Houston. I took the risk yesterday, and I got that, so I am alive still in survivor, and Houston had basically no future value, so my low time preference survivor continues, man, and you got to do that when you're in like a big money survivor pool like I am, so we're alive. We're alive in college survivor still as well, but I haven't really been tested there yet. It's going to get more difficult because in the college one, you have to use just the you're only able to use, I think, games that involve the power conference teams, so your options are a little bit limited that way. But this game, Cincinnati's coming off a horrific game, man. They played that game against Minnesota. That was the injured player theory game for both teams, as J.J. McCarthy for Minnesota and Joe Burrow for Cincinnati both had gotten hurt in the previous game. Cincinnati, I felt, was in the worst spot because they had come off that crazy comeback win against Jacksonville, big dramatic win, having to go on the road to face this Minnesota defense. I thought Browning, also a huge step down from Joe Burrow. The two JBs, Jake Browning and Joe Burrow. So I thought that was a major step down, whereas I thought Minnesota switching from McCarthy to Wentz actually could be potentially an upgrade. So I thought Minnesota was the right side in that game, and they were. I mean, I didn't expect Cincinnati to have 5 turnovers in the game, but Minnesota did win. I was right about that, and now I think Minnesota looked too good, and that's what I said about going into yesterday. Minnesota did wind up losing the game to Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers yesterday in Dublin. Minnesota did dominate this game statistically, and they really held Cincinnati's offense down, but Cincinnati was also minus 5 in turnovers, so Cincinnati really couldn't have possibly looked worse So really nobody's going to want anything to do with Cincinnati after they saw that. So I think that is a spot where you do get a little bit of additional value on a team like Cincinnati because, yeah, they deserve to lose that game. And they got blown out statistically, but the game should not have been 48-10. 5 turnovers is just ridiculous. So if Cincinnati's able to clean that up throughout the week, they shouldn't be as bad in this game defensively. And they still have a lot of talent on that offense, so I don't really see how the offense could be that bad just because Joe Burrow's not there. Denver hasn't really been good offensively so far. Their defense has been playing well, but they're coming off a much tougher game against the Chargers, a huge divisional game where Kansas City, Kansas City looked really good yesterday, but Kansas City stepping down maybe a little bit this year, taking a step back, and people were like, which team is going to fill that role? Denver or the Chargers. So Denver versus Chargers, huge game there. And Denver had the lead on the road late in that game. They wound up blowing the game late and losing the game. That is a brutal way to lose that game. And Denver does have Philly up next, the returning champs, and that's always going to be a game that draws your attention, even though it's not a primetime game. So I think Denver could potentially overlook this Cincinnati team, especially when they know Cincinnati doesn't have Joe Burrow. Looking at what Cincinnati did last week, even though, as I pointed out, Cincinnati did beat Denver late in the season last year, I think in the second to last week of the season at Cincinnati. Overtime game. Cincinnati needed the game a little bit more because they were trying to stay alive in the playoff race. Denver was more secure in their playoff spot at that point, but both teams tried hard in the game. Cincinnati won, so there's a little bit of a revenge aspect here, but I don't think it matters that much. And Denver looking for revenge doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to cover a huge spread either. So I think looking at the spot here, I think it is a pretty bad spot for Denver. It does look like a sandwich spot to me, to be honest. It's just that when you're hosting a Monday night game, it's a little bit difficult to say that it's a sandwich, but I mean, I'm tempted. This is the better of the two games as far as this is my stronger opinion of the two games. And my opinion is take the points with the Bengals in this game. I know it's another ugly underdog. I'm not going to quite get there with that one, but it's close. It looks like a sandwich to me for Denver. So that's that, man. Yeah, I mean, I think that's all I got here. Quick video today, of course. I prolonged it anyway, just to talk about two games. But Nate, thanks for hanging out. That's going to do it for today. I'll be back tomorrow. We will have MLB playoffs, WNBA playoffs continue, and no football tomorrow. So it's going to be probably another short-ish video tomorrow. But that's going to do it for now. Have a good Monday, everybody, and peace.